You have money saved. You know it's there. And somehow, almost predictably, something comes up, and the account empties. Not because of a real emergency, because the money was available. That distinction between available and safe turns out to be one your brain is not very good at making. Empties capacity, a savings account balance on a phone screen, slowly decreasing in a series of small transactions. The standard explanation for why people drain their savings is essentially a character critique. You lack discipline. You haven't built the right habits. You need a stricter budget, better tracking, maybe a spending freeze. The solution is always behavioral in the simplest sense. Try harder, want it more, resist temptation with more conviction. And to be fair, that framing isn't entirely wrong. Habits do matter. Automatic transfers help. People who treat savings as non-negotiable tend to keep more of it. There's real evidence behind the advice. But here's what that framing quietly assumes: that your brain registers a savings account the way a spreadsheet does, as a protected category, clearly labeled, mentally fenced off. That when you look at a balance of $4,000 and tell yourself that's for emergencies, something in your neural architecture actually honors that classification. The evidence suggests it doesn't, not because you're weak, not because you weren't paying attention in the personal finance article you read, but because the brain you're working with evolved to solve a completely different problem, and it's solving that problem correctly. Even when the outcome looks like financial self-sabotage, the real question isn't why don't people save? It's why does the brain treat a future financial buffer as a present tense resource the moment it becomes visible and accessible? An ancient foraging scene rendered in a minimal, abstract way. A figure near resources, immediate environment in focus, everything beyond blurred zone. When economists and behavioral scientists talk about how humans make decisions across time, what they call intertemporal choice, they consistently find something that shouldn't be surprising but usually is. The brain doesn't discount the future linearly. It doesn't subtract a fixed percentage of value for every month you have to wait. It discounts hyperbolically, which means the gap between right now and 1 week from now feels psychologically enormous. The gap between 6 months from now and 7 months from now feels almost negligible. This has a specific consequence for savings accounts that almost no one talks about. A savings account that you can access, that isn't locked behind a penalty, a waiting period, a structural barrier, isn't really future money in any psychological sense. It's present money with a polite label. The moment that money is accessible, the brain begins evaluating it with the same urgency systems it applies to resources right in front of you. This is the gap in the standard discipline narrative. The conventional view says the problem is inside you, your willpower, your habits, your financial personality. But one interpretation of the behavioral research says the problem is structural. The environment you've placed your money in is not aligned with the cognitive architecture you're running on. Think of it this way: the brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It detects an available resource. It finds a use for that resource. It acts. That's not failure. That's the system working. The environment is wrong. And there's a second layer here that rarely gets named. For some people, the pattern of draining savings isn't purely impulsive, it's regulatory. The money disappears not because of recklessness, but because carrying a balance creates a kind of low-grade anxiety that spending resolves. The nervous system learned at some point that having resources didn't mean safety, and it's still operating on that lesson. A close-up of a hand near a light switch. Not flipping it, just close, suggesting proximity as activation. The clearest framework for understanding this comes from research on intertemporal choice, published in Trends in Cognitive Sciences in 2007. The authors, whose work appears in the video description, mapped out the neural competition underlying decisions that involve trade-offs between now and later. Their central finding was that immediate rewards activate the limbic system, the brain's older motivational architecture, while future rewards engage prefrontal regions involved in abstract planning and self-control. These systems don't operate as equal partners. When something is immediately available, the limbic response is faster, louder, and neurally prioritized. Flip brain diagram showing limbic system highlighted in warm color, prefrontal cortex in cooler tone, with an arrow showing competition between them. What this means practically, the accessibility of money changes how the brain categorizes it. Not metaphorically, neurologically. An account you can drain in 30 seconds with a tap on your phone is processed differently than money you cannot touch without friction. You can sit down on a Sunday and feel completely resolved about not touching your savings. That feeling is real. The prefrontal intention is genuine. And then Thursday happens, and there's something you want or need, and the resolution from Sunday feels strangely irrelevant. Not forgotten, just not operative. That's not weakness. That's temporal distance collapsing. Now, there's an important caveat here. The 2007 research describes a general neural architecture, not a fixed destiny. Individual variation is significant. Some people are considerably more future-oriented in their financial behavior, and the reasons for that are partly environmental, partly developmental, and still being studied. The research does not prove that everyone will drain their savings. It explains why the pull to do so is structurally embedded in how the brain handles present versus future trade-offs. The research does not prove that everyone will drain their savings. There's also a more recent line of research worth noting. Work published in 2024 in the Journal of Neuroscience Research examined how the ventromedial prefrontal cortex processes comparative reward, how you evaluate one option against another when values need to be weighed. The findings suggest that this region plays a specific role in anchoring what things are worth relative to each other, which raises an uncomfortable implication. If your brain is genuinely struggling to weight future security against present relief, that's not a moral failing. That's a function of how reward comparison works neurally. A balance scale, one side weighted with an immediate object, the other side holding a faint abstract shape. And there's a financial well-being angle here that shouldn't be skipped. Longitudinal research published in 2026 tracking older adults found a significant relationship between financial decision-making autonomy and mental well-being, not just financial outcomes, but psychological ones. People who felt capable of making and following through on financial decisions reported meaningfully better well-being over time. The mechanism isn't entirely clear, but the implication is that this isn't only about money. The pattern of not being able to protect your own savings has a cost beyond the balance. So what does this actually mean for you? It means the lecture you give yourself after draining your savings, about discipline, about willpower, about why you can't just stick to a plan, is probably targeting the wrong variable. The evidence suggests that what your brain needs isn't more motivation, it needs a different environment. One where the friction between intention and action is built into the structure of the account itself, not generated fresh every time by your prefrontal cortex fighting your limbic system on a Thursday afternoon. This might look like a high-yield account at a separate institution with a 2 to 3 day transfer delay. It might look like an account you literally cannot see in your primary banking app, not because you're hiding it from yourself in a foolish way, but because visibility changes the neural calculus. What you cannot readily perceive, your limbic system cannot readily prioritize. The other reframe. If you notice that having savings produces anxiety rather than security, that's worth sitting with. Some of what looks like impulsive spending is actually self-regulation. The money going out resolves a tension. Understanding that doesn't excuse the pattern, but it does suggest the pattern needs a different intervention than a stricter budget. You're not fighting your laziness. You're navigating a mismatch between ancient neural architecture and a modern financial environment that never accounted for it. Here's where this gets genuinely unresolved. The structural solution, add friction, separate accounts, reduce visibility, works reasonably well for people who have stable income and genuine discretionary savings. But for people whose accounts cycle empty not because of impulsivity but because there isn't enough coming in, no amount of environmental design closes that gap. The neuroscience explains the drain pattern. It doesn't explain the income problem beneath it. And there's a tension in the research itself. The same cognitive systems that make present rewards feel urgent are also the ones that keep you responsive to immediate threats, which matters when your financial situation is genuinely precarious. Labeling that as a neural flaw may miss what the flaw is actually protecting. So the honest question isn't just, how do I stop draining my savings? It's, what is my brain actually responding to when it does? The research behind this video draws from Lancet, London, England, Trends in Cognitive Sciences, Women's Health, London, England, BMC Geriatrics, Brain, Behavior and Immunity, Journal of Neuroscience Research. Every claim traces to a published source. Full citations are in the description below. If the way this channel thinks about neuroscience resonates with you, subscribing helps this work reach people who'd appreciate it. New videos on the science of mind every week.